Ladies and gentlemen, the king has returned. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day is now playing in theaters, bringing the famed director back to the summer blockbuster after nearly a decade away. The new sci-fi epic tells a sweeping tale of a government conspiracy and one man's pursuit to bring it all down. The movie stars Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, and Colin Firth as they contend with humanity's first public contact with extraterrestrials. Spielberg's newest movie is a big deal. It does not just bring fans back to the theaters for yet another Spielberg special, but it also marks the director's grand return to the summer blockbuster season he helped create more than 50 years ago. For a long time, it felt like we may never get another summer blockbuster from Spielberg. Yet, here we are. Okay, a bit of background on all of this. Spielberg is a name that should be not all that unfamiliar to most moviegoers. For the better part of a century, the Cincinnati, Ohio native has been wowing audiences on the silver screen. While Spielberg is known for many things, including his 3 Academy Awards, 4 Golden Globes, and 12 Emmys, one thing often gets forgotten when talking about the Hollywood luminary: his role in creating the Hollywood blockbuster. In 1975, the Disclosure Day director wowed audiences, bringing his vision of a crowd-pleasing shark attack film to the big screen in the form of Jaws. This absolute cinematic classic is often cited as the original blockbuster, laying the very foundation upon which things like Star Wars, the Avengers, and the upcoming Odyssey would be built. While the idea of a 4-quadrant blockbuster hit existed before Spielberg and Jaws, with films like Bombardier and Ben-Hur bringing together both critical and financial success on a level not usually seen in the movie space, Spielberg's sea-soaked romp changed that. Jaws is credited by Guinness World Records as being the first true blue summer blockbuster. Upon its release in 1975, it quickly became a full-blown phenomenon. The film saw audiences lining up around city blocks just to get a taste of its ocean-faring action. Like Bruce the Shark himself snacking on innocent beachgoers in the movie, those headed to the cinema could not get enough of the blockbuster magic. Jaws put Spielberg on the map. It became the first film ever to gross $100 million at the global box office, and launched a whole new cinematic format that studios were quick to try and emulate. The summer blockbuster had arrived, and it wasn't going away.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
From there, Spielberg would become the king of summer. Yes, after Jaws, he would take a 2-film break, making Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a film some are convinced is a secret Disclosure Day prequel, in 1941. He would return to the format in 1981 with Raiders of the Lost Ark. If Jaws invented the summer blockbuster, Raiders perfected it. Spielberg's first Indiana Jones movie was the director finding his fastball, and he was ready to capitalize on it.
Always being generous.
Just look at this next run of movies. E.T., which would become the highest grossing movie ever at the time. Twilight Zone the movie, an adaptation of one of the most important TV series ever. And Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, a sequel to perhaps the greatest adventure movie in the history of cinema. All released as part of the summer blockbuster season. It was at this point that Spielberg's career started to change. After years of leaning into crowd-pleasing, popcorn-loving fare, opportunity came a-knockin' in the form of awards-ready prestige. Spielberg's next 2 films signify a critical split in his filmography. With The Color Purple and Empire of the Sun, he embraced his other passion, history, trading in the theme park-esque rides of the summer blockbuster season for awards glory and the notably heavier subject matter that often comes with it. In the 2 decades that followed, Spielberg balanced both of these things beautifully. One year he would do Jurassic Park or War of the Worlds, and next it would be Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan. This 2-pronged approach continued right through the mid-2010s, when it all came to a grinding halt. In late March 2018, Spielberg would release what would become his last true summer, or at least late spring, blockbuster, Ready Player One. The big screen adaptation of Ernest Cline's acclaimed 2011 novel arrived to middling reviews, to say the least. But it was yet another big-budget, rollicking affair from the beloved filmmaker. After that, though, there was nothing. In the years leading up to Ready Player One, Spielberg's blockbuster output began to slow a bit. Instead of these types of event films being the norm for the filmmaker, they became the exception. Titles like Warhorse, Bridge of Spies, and Lincoln began to fill the time that was once occupied by Jaws, Jurassic, and Indy. Coming out of the 2000s and into the 2010s, it was clear that Steven Spielberg's priorities were shifting. As the director got older, his on-screen pursuits began to change. This came to a head post Ready Player One, as the summer Steven Spielberg blockbuster machine was turned off completely. Following the release of Ready Player One, the director went back to the drawing board a bit. In this time, he worked on 2 films. The first being a remake of one of his all-time favorites, West Side Story, and the other being perhaps his most personal movie ever in the form of The Fabelmans. West Side Story very well could have been another addition to Spielberg's lengthy list of hit blockbusters. It earned rave reviews upon its release. However, its true potential was stymied by one thing: a global pandemic. The remake of Leonard Bernstein's musical hit arrived in December 2021, while the entertainment industry was still reeling from the emergence of COVID-19. Because of this, the movie was put straight onto streaming with a very limited theatrical release. Spielberg's West Side Story was heralded as a modern classic by those who saw it, with one of the biggest talking points at the time being, man, this movie would have killed had it gotten the same theatrical treatment as some of the director's prior work. It would go on to gross a mere $76 million at the global box office against a $100 million production budget. This was enough to make it one of Spielberg's biggest box office misses. Next up was The Fabelmans. This intimate look at a young, aspiring filmmaker growing up in the 20th century was a different kind of Spielberg movie. It saw the director looking inward unlike ever before, telling the tale of his childhood, warts and all. The 2022 coming-of-age drama was another critical hit for the longtime filmmaker, earning a killer 92% on Rotten Tomatoes and becoming the 7th highest-rated Spielberg movie of all time. But this well-received intimate family story was by no means the blockbuster return that longtime Spielbergians had been craving. Luckily, it would not take long before fans' calls would eventually be answered. In early 2024, rumors began to swirl of a new Spielberg project on the horizon. Nothing was known about the title at the time other than it could be yet another UFO movie from the famed sci-fi director. This got the internet a-talkin'. What could this movie be? Is it a Close Encounters sequel? Am I living in blockbuster heaven? It kind of felt like a dream come true for longtime Spielberg fans. This director, who made some of the best science fiction movies ever, was returning to the space after years away. In August of that same year, Disclosure Day was officially revealed to the world, with Emily Blunt attached to the project. Then news started to come fast and furious. Colin Firth was attached, Hewson, Colman Domingo, Wyatt Russell, and Josh O'Connor all cast before 2024 was over. Now, nearly 2 years later, what felt like something fans may never get again is actually happening. Another Spielberg summer blockbuster is playing on the silver screen more than 5 decades after he basically invented the format. It's a full circle moment for the legendary director, and one that should be savored by moviegoers everywhere. At 79, Steven Spielberg has been doing this for the better part of a century, and he's shown no signs of slowing down. In fact, he already has his next movie in his sights, said to be his first ever Western. Yeah, he may come and go from the format, and we might not get too many more summer blockbusters out of him, but the real lovers of his work, the ones who've been there since day one, know that no matter what he does, he will remain the king of summer. For the latest on Disclosure Day and more, CBR.com is your place to be.